Hello, beautiful. The weather is heating up, and so when the weather changes, so does the makeup routine. Today, I'm going to be sharing some of my favorite summer skincare products. Makeup that's lightweight, gives you full coverage, but most importantly, protects you from the sun. If you're looking for a routine that beats summer's heat, ensures you have a radiant glow while still protecting your skin all summer long, let's get right to it. Okay, y'all, let's get started. And remember, all of the products are going to be linked in the description below. So let's get started with a primer. Now, no matter how little or how much makeup you wear, you gotta have a primer because this really sets the foundation. It gives everything else basically something to grab onto. So today I'm using the Laura Geller Spackle, and the name does not imply how light and fluffy and wonderful this product actually feels. It's the Skin Perfecting Primer in the original bronze. I do have another shade that I use at night. And it's the original Champagne Glow. So just for reference, but today I'm using the original bronze. Super lightweight. I really love them. They're super lightweight and I will be rocking them all summer. Now, just as important as it is to prime your face, you should also prime your eyelids because they can get, for some of us, really oily. And so my favorite eyelid primer is Urban Decay. It has a lot of different versions. I like the Sin version because it has a little bit of iridescence. It also works as a highlighter above the brow area, and you'll see after I do my brows what I mean. These are actually two of the only products that I actually apply with my fingers. Everything else, I use a makeup brush. First, I'm going to do my brows, which as you can see are super sparse, and the ones that I do have are silver. This is very common for those of us who are silver gray or blonde. Having very light colored brows and lashes is very common as we turn silver or gray, or if you're blonde, it's not unusual to have very, very light brows and lashes. So you definitely need a good product to accentuate that, because if you don't do anything else, you gotta frame your eyes because they frame the face. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'll start with my favorite eyebrow kit is the Lamique Revelation Brow Kit. I will have a link to that in the description for you. And then as I'm doing my makeup, I'll talk about some other items that you should definitely have that will make, and as I apply product, I'll be randomly mentioning some items that you should definitely have that will make your makeup application so much easier. And a good magnifying mirror is one, and one that's also lit. So you have regular magnification, and then I think the other side that I'm looking at is 10 times. I'm not penciling them in because this is a powder, but I'm following I'm following my natural brows, which even though they're sparse, they still have enough for me to, define what I'm doing. But I'm gonna do one eye just to show you how important it is to just frame your eyes. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. You're gonna fix it anyway. So my next step, this is my concealer, but I'm gonna put just a teeny bit of concealer under my eyebrows, and that will really define them more. Another thing that I always have close by, this is a microfiber terry cloth towel. I have them in all sizes to remove makeup, but when I'm applying my makeup, I always have one by, because if I have too much product on the brush, then it's just easy to take that off. And while we're talking about makeup brushes, I recommend having 2 sets. I think one of the secrets to having healthy skin is having clean makeup brushes. You should be washing them at least once a week. And so by having 2 sets, and they're very inexpensive, I'll link some down in the description, but by having 2 sets, while one set's drying, then you have a clean set. So I've applied a little bit of the concealer to another brush, and this brush is similar to the brush that I use to do my brows. So it gives you a lot of precision because I want that to go right up under my eyebrows. You see the difference? Literally, I just did my eyebrows. That's it. And put a little bit of concealer over my whole lid. That's why you gotta frame your eyes. So let's finish the other side. That's it. If I wanted to do a 5-minute face, I would literally just put a little bit of foundation under here just to even my skin tone out, some eyelashes, and I would be done. That would be a 5-minute face for me. But we're doing a whole summer face right now. So now I'm gonna completely do my eyes. I know everyone does tutorials a different way, but this is the way I guess I was taught to do it by a makeup artist. I had someone come in and actually teach me how to put my makeup on the right way. And so that's how she taught me to do it. So I'm gonna finish my eyes. Today I'm using Juvia's Place, the Coffee Shop. It's my absolute favorite eye palette. It's all neutrals, yes, but because of the wide range of neutrals, I can have a daytime look, a business look, a formal look, all with this one palette. So that's why I love it so much. And you can tell which colors I use the most because you can see the bottom of some of the palettes. But I'm gonna start with this one. This is the lightest shade, and I use that really to even out my eyelid, and that way when I put the colors on, so the true color that is on here is actually what you'll see on my eye, if that makes sense. I'm going to do an elevated day face. All right, so I'm gonna go in with this brown right here, and I'm gonna do one whole side. Normally I go back and forth, but for the purposes of this vlog, I'm gonna complete this eye and then I'll do the other one off camera. So I'm completely filling my lid, and again, I'll have a link to this in the description. And because it's an elevated face, I want a little bit more definition. So now I'm gonna go in with a little bit of a darker color, not much. This color right here is probably like 1 shade deeper, but I'm gonna put that in the corner because it's gonna give my eye just a little bit more depth. And because this is an elevated face and I'm using a different brush for each color, I'm gonna go in with this iridescent. It's almost like an iridescent version of this color right here. And I'm gonna do that just right here. Now, it may seem like I'm using a lot of colors, but once it's all blended in, it'll be seamless. And if you ever put too much of something, get a Q-tip and take it off because I went a little too far with that. Very simple to correct, no big deal. Now we're gonna highlight right above the brow. I'm gonna use this color right here, this one. And then last, I'm going to put a little bit inside the corner. And then last, I'm going to put a little bit inside the corner. And lastly, I'm gonna put just a little bit of this one inside the corner. And that really opens up the eye, just a teeny bit. Now we're ready to blend with this brush right here. See that brush? And I start at the top and just work my way down. You're just blending so that there's no like line of demarcation from where one color begins and one ends. And that's really the difference between a good eye and just an okay eye. Now let's do the other side. Okay, now it's time for the foundation. And as you can see, my head is wrapped. I cover my edges. I do that religiously. I don't put makeup on until I cover my edges because all of my hair is white. And so when I'm blending my makeup to my hairline, if I don't have a scarf on, inevitably I'm gonna get some makeup in my hair. And so the easiest thing for me to do is just cover my edges, and then once my makeup is completely done, then I'll remove the scarf and then blend it in very gently and carefully all the way up to my edges, but not until then. I'm fanatical about that. Now it's time for the foundation, and this foundation has an SPF 50. It's another L'Oreal product. This is better than Block Skincare Infused Serum Foundation. Again, SPF 50. The shade is deep. So I'm going to put that on my makeup brush. I just kind of dab it before I start blending it in. Yeah, just try to peek through. It's very, very lightweight. It has very good coverage. It feels so good. Now here's another little trick that I learned from the professional makeup artist. One of the reasons that the makeup lasts so long when they do it is because they allow each layer to set. So whether you're doing just primer and a little pressed powder to keep the shine down and even your skin tone, or you're doing a full face like I'm doing now, you want to allow each layer to set. And using this little fan really accelerates that. I will find something similar to this and link it. It doesn't have batteries. You just charge it with a USB cord. Hey y'all, just a few years ago, Maison 276 products were shipped directly from the manufacturer to my garage. And then from my garage to the dining room table where they were lovingly prepared and shipped to you. But today, this is how Maison 276 products are coming to you at your local Walmart. Yes, we are launching nationwide in Walmart. Visit the Maison 276 site to find the Walmart that's closest to you. And you never know, I may be waiting for you in the aisles when you get there. Okay, now we're going to do concealer. And what I found more than any products, letting your concealer set is the most important. So I'm gonna take one of my sponges, and I like the ones that have the point and the flat side. I really like that around my eyes. So I'm gonna spread this everywhere I want it and then go back to my handy dandy fan. Next, we're gonna apply our blush. Again, this is a Laura Geller product. This is Blushing Berry is the shade, and it's a serum blush. And although I normally will do a powder blush, I really like this because it's sheer. And it comes with this foam applicator that you can remove and wash. And you know how I feel about washing my brushes. I really like this. Very lightweight. And again, because it's a serum, meaning it's a liquid, we're gonna have to let that dry a little bit. And the reason that's important is because if you're mixing all of these liquids together and you're trying to blend for that seamless look, if the layer that you're putting it on top of hasn't really set, you're just gonna wind up mixing up everything and it's just gonna look muddy. And so sometimes that's why maybe you buy a different type of makeup and it looks the same as the other makeup. Maybe it's not the makeup, maybe it's just the methods. And so, you know, sometimes a 5-minute face is just a few products, but you shouldn't try to do a 5 or 10-minute face with a lot of products because you're not giving anything time to set. So I'm just gonna blend that. That's kind of my initial blend. And then now I'm going to, because I have a round face, I like to add a little bit more definition. So I'll use this bronzer by Pat McGrath, And I apply it very lightly actually, right up under my blush. And then I also will put a little bit on my nose. And so now I'm going to take a blending brush, and now I'm just going to more or less blend the bronzer and the blush so there's not really like that line of demarcation. And you see right here where my makeup stopped because of the silk scarf. When I'm done, then I'll go in and brush that very gently so that it goes all the way to my hairline. And remember, I'm doing an elevated day look. So yes, it's a lot of products. You don't have to use all of these. Now what I've gone in for just more definition in the face is to put my concealer here. But again, I'm going to blend all that in. And that truly is the key. And my blending brush is essentially a clean brush that doesn't have makeup on it. Well, it has makeup on it when I start blending. But after I use it, then I take my microfiber cloth and I wipe it clean. And so now I'm coming back and blending that right there. And then finally, I'm going to take this was my foundation brush, and I'm coming here along the jawline. I don't want there to be a line from where I put that concealer, so now I'm blending that. And then I'm just coming in and blending where all the other areas where the concealer was. Common concern or a common issue is when you apply concealer and then it starts settling in the creases of your eye, especially, as we mature. The key to preventing that is to take a setting powder. So the one that I use is OS, and this shade is called Sweet Honey. And I just take a little bit and dab that right under there. Now this is also, some people call this a baking powder, and some people apply it in a lot of different places other than under the eye. If I were gonna do a photo shoot or something like that, then I would do that. But the other places here, here, and here, those are the other places that people will often do a baking powder. And now just using this is another big brush that I use to blend, take off extra powder. And I still have to do my lashes. Okay, now we're gonna do the eyeliner. This is L'Oreal's Incredible. It's a waterproof gel eyeliner. And as you can see, the key to getting your eyeliner straight is not having one long line that's seamless, because to me that's so easy to mess up, to keep it straight, but instead thinking of like connecting the dots. So just going step by step by step. That's kind of how I keep it straight, because if I try to do one long continuous line, likely not gonna happen. I wear lashes all the time. Even if I did a 5-minute face, which is eyebrows, some foundation on my lids, under my eyes, I would do lashes. And because my own lashes are so short and so sparse, this is just a better solution for me than mascara. These are drugstore lashes. The brand is Kiss. The style that I wear every day is Pompadour. And I'll wear each pair maybe 3 or 4 times before I ditch them. And as I'm putting the glue on the lashes, I'll say, when you first start wearing false eyelashes, in the package, it always looks like it's too much. And so when I first started wearing them, I would buy lashes, but then I would take a picture and it would look like I didn't have any on. So if you are getting lashes for a special occasion, if you're doing a photo shoot or something, buy a lash that looks like it's a little bit more than you think you need. And I promise you, when you take a photo, you will actually see it. But you can't get them on Amazon for, less than 20 bucks. It's just a good way to experiment with them. I really think you will be surprised at how much it elevates your look. And once you get accustomed to wearing them, you put them on so fast. So don't think that you're adding like 10 minutes to your makeup routine to put a lash on. you're not. And the eyeliner works. The reason you want to put that on before you do your lashes is the eyeliner works as a perfect guide. Now this glue is white, but it's going to dry clear. There are some glues that are brown, that are black. I just prefer the transparent. I'm using the tip of the tweezer just to make sure that the lash has actually adhered to my eyeline, because they're so thin and so lightweight. I mean, feather, you can barely tell it's there, that sometimes it actually isn't on my eye. And you want to start by placing it in the center and then taking the tweezers and then attaching the ends. Okay, now I'm gonna finish my brows. They weren't finished before. And I'm using the spoolie, that's what this is called, to brush and make that a little bit more natural. You see the difference? Like right here, it looks just like I drew it on. Whereas right here, just brushing it, even though there's not really any hairs there, but I'm still giving, you know, the impression. And then if it's still a little too dark, I'll take this brush and just feather it just a little bit more. And you see how this looks way more natural than that. Okay. And ideally, you don't want this part of the lash to go past your eye, and same here. And because, again, this is an elevated day look, I am going to use this Laura Geller Baked, Balance, and Brighten as a finishing powder. Now, I also use this as a foundation. This morning I did my Coffee with Angel, which is a live streaming, and I use this as foundation. So I simply applied the primer. Oops. Let's try that again. I applied the primer, the spackle, and then I applied this, and that was my foundation. Great coverage. But I really like this as a finishing powder because it doesn't dull everything else that I just did, because it's got so many different shades. You see, there's some iridescence, and so it's a great finishing powder. And again, just so lightweight. Okay, so now I am going to pull back the edges, and I'm just gonna take my my foundation brush, because that's really the only product that was gonna go there. There's more than enough product on here to blend the rest of that foundation in. And so now things all seamless. Last but not least, one final step, and that's a finishing spray. I've tried a lot of them. This is the best one. And this is On Until Dawn. It's a mattifying spray. The name suits it right, because sometimes when I'm traveling, I will put makeup on at 5 o'clock in the morning to go catch a flight, because I've got a meeting as soon as I get off the plane. And so that makeup, I'm telling you, 5 p.m., it still looks the same. It still looks good. Nothing's moved. No layers have bled into each other. And because I put the primer on the eyeshadow isn't even creasing 12 hours later. So quick spray. I'll use my fan, dry faster. And this, y'all, is my elevated day summer look. I've got sunscreen on here. I've got products with SPF 50 plus. So even if I'm outside, I still got sun protection. Even if I'm outside and it's hot, this mattifying spray keeps everything in line, everything intact, and so the products don't start blending and bleeding into each other. I just gotta take this band off, do my hair, put my fit on, and show you the final product. This is the final product, but we'll see how it looks with the fit and the hair. And for the final touch, of course, we gotta do a lippy. I started with Laura Geller's Modern Classic Invisible Color Locking Lip Liner. And this product ensures that your beautiful lipstick stays right where you put it and doesn't bleed out past your lip line. Well, ladies, that wraps it up for today's vlog. Summer makeup looks, they are lightweight, full coverage, but most importantly, protects your skin from summer's intense, damaging rays. Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of The Beauty of Aging. I appreciate you subscribing, liking, and I especially love the comments because y'all know I love chit-chatting with you in the DMs. Don't forget to join me every Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern where we live stream Coffee with Angel right here on YouTube. But you can also catch me on Instagram and Facebook. We talk about a variety of topics, but all issues that are important to you, the woman who's unapologetically growing bolder. So don't forget to give me some of your content recommendations. I love creating content that you want to see. Don't forget to pick up Maison 276 at your local Walmart. And hey, you never know. I keep telling y'all, I might be lurking around in the aisles just waiting to meet you. Thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you next time on The Beauty of Aging. Until then, take care, y'all. Bye.